All right. Good morning, real closers. Good morning. It's been a bit. Last week, we did our power hour, but weren't able to go live. Some technical issues. 2023, though, it's gonna be your year, right, Gustavo? We're gonna actually
Yeah.
start. We actually started last week with part one, how you can use an ISA to make you over $100,000 in GCI by the end of 2023. I'll be posting the video a little later today. But right now, we're going to go over part two. If you're wanting to know part one, check out the video later today. And today, we're going to cover exactly how you can break over the 100,000 GCI mark by the end of 2023. All right, Gustavo, how's it going, man? It's been
All right. Doing good, doing good. Happy to be in here and, loving this topic, right? Because I get the question a lot. People asking, hey, great, I want to have an ISA, but what can they do for me, right? It's usually the question that comes next once they kind of realize they want an ISA on their team. What is the best use of that activity, of that leverage and on the team to really grow the business, right? So part one, we talked about one of the biggest opportunities for an ISA to impact the business, which is internet lead generation, right? Internet lead generation and internet lead conversion. The ISA is the conversion part of the machine. So having what the ISA should be doing to maximize that conversion if you're generating those internet leads, those online leads. That's one option, right? Part one is all about that. Check it out if you're interested in that topic. Part two is probably the second, biggest opportunity. It's our second largest source of business for Power ISA that we focus on, and that is outbound prospecting, cold calling, okay? So cold calling, I like to tell folks it's different than internet lead generation. I think at the end of the day, it's a list of people you got to call, right? But there's some big differences, When the ISA is working for you on that lead generate on the cold calling prospecting, that is more of a lead generation activity, okay? On with the online leads, internet leads, you're paying someone, either the platforms or a company or a marketing agency, you're paying them to generate a bunch of leads. That's how the leads get created. You're paying them, they're doing their magic, and they're generating those leads for you. On the cold calling side, the ISA is grabbing a cold list of who knows who, and they're generating leads from it, okay? They're generating leads. That is a big difference, right, on those kinds of activities. That's why cold prospecting, cold calling is such a high leverage and very scalable activity. It's a lead generation activity. Probably one of the most cost-effective lead generation activities out there. And I think more people should give it a try, right? So I'm going to talk about talk about these activities on a spectrum, Roberto, on a spectrum of which are the easiest to start, easiest to do, easiest to get results from. The ones that are a little bit more challenging, right? I'm going to put it on a spectrum. On the one end of the spectrum, on the easier side, I would put circle prospecting, right? That's an activity that is very simple to set up. It's a very simple script, right? And in circle prospecting, there's multiple activities that can be grouped into that, lumped into that category. Probably just listed, just sold are the most obvious ones, but even just farming. You can have it. I think the 90% of our circle prospecting activities we do at Power ISA are just calling these neighborhoods, high value neighborhoods, and saying, hey, I'm working with a bunch of buyers that want to move here. Who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home? I'm just helping them out. I'm helping out my buyers. Can you help me? Right? That's essentially what the call is, right? And you just do that pitch 100 times a day, and you're going to get 1 to 2 qualified sellers that are thinking of doing something. Okay. It's not an easy activity to do. I want to exaggerate, but it's a very simple activity to do. You make 100 dials, maybe talk to 20, 30, 40, maybe even up to 50 people, and you give them that pitch. You give them that request. Roberto, I'm with ABC Realty and just calling this neighborhood. I have a bunch of buyers trying to move here. I'm looking for more inventory. I'm looking for these kinds of homes, right? Who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home? Okay, thanks for considering that. How about yourself? Do you own a home or do you rent a home right now? Okay, then you start the conversation like that, right? This is the first script we would teach all of our ISAs as soon as they join the company, because it's very easy to teach. It's a very simple script to learn, and it's all about pounding the phone. That's it. Got to talk to as many people as possible, deliver that pitch, follow the script, because most people are going to say no. It's not wrong if they answer no to that first question. Everyone answers no to that first question. Who do you know? I don't think I know anybody. Great. How about yourself, right? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? What about this? What about that? You're trying to get to what we call 3 no's, okay? 3 no's for your ISA. You want to get to the 3 no's. And it takes 1 no. Anyone with a phone can get a first no. Anyone, okay? Anyone and their mom can do it. 2 no's, you have to have a little bit of training to get to the 2nd no. That means you have got some objection handlers. 3rd no takes some skill to get to that 3rd no consistently, okay? You gotta have some skill for prospecting, for cold calling. You need some training, you need some coaching to get to that 3rd no. That's usually how it goes, right? And that's what an ISA can help you do. An ISA, this is one of the best activities for an ISA, Roberto, because it takes so many calls to get results, right? You gotta be calling. Circle prospecting is one of those things you can't just do for an hour a day and expect any kind of a result, right? You got to do it for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. Well, not 10, but 6, 7, 8 hours a day is probably the most you can do, because it takes that many calls, because the conversion rate is lower for sure. It's the lowest converting activity you're going to do, because it is true cold calling. It is calling the phone book. It's calling, the neighborhood, and trying to find people that are at least not saying no to you. Okay. They're saying maybe. A maybe is good. Okay. That's one end of that spectrum. The second one, the next category, at least broad category, is what it's called bullseye calling. Bullseye calling. What does that mean? It's an activity that's like circle prospecting. You're calling the whole neighborhood, like a large area, but you're not just calling anyone and everyone with a phone number, okay? It's more specialized. It's filtered, right? There's a specific reason you're calling that list. So that's why that term bullseye comes from. You're grabbing the whole population and you're focusing on one aspect of that population. And that can be downsizers, okay? Folks that have a certain type of home, they're a certain age, and let's see, because their home might not be appropriate for their needs anymore, right? Got a lot of folks, and we're just at the very beginning of this, right? The baby boom generation, they're turning 65, 70, 75, and guess what? They might not need a 2-bedroom, 2-story, 4-bedroom home anymore, right? 3-bedroom, 2-story home might not be appropriate for them, might not be comfortable for them. Give them a call, see what they're thinking about maybe selling, right? I love that script because that generation picks up the phone more. That's actually pretty awesome, right? If you're making calling. And the other thing is, you can be very open with them, and the script is the same actually, okay? It's the same as that circle prospecting script. It's the same script. Hey, I got a bunch of buyers. Have you thought about selling that home? Because you don't go and approach them saying, hey, I see you're an old timer and you have a big house. What do you do with that old timer? What do you need? Those stairs are going to kill you. You can't say that, right? No one's going to respond to that pitch, right? It's just not realistic. So it's the same script. Ask the question. And there's other folks. You have downsizers. You have another category that's very popular, absentee owners. Absentee owners is another category. They're in the area. The mailing address is different than the property address. That's like the basic definition of an absentee owner. They don't live at the property. They get their tax statements and everything sent somewhere else. And that could be around the block. It can be another city over. It can be outside the state. It can be outside the country, for all we know, right? So that's another category, right? That script is a little bit different. It's all about, hey, I see, are you the owner of 123 Main Street? Would you be interested in getting an offer for that property, right? Have you thought about liquidating that asset and getting another investment, doing something different with that? It's a little bit of a different intro. Everything else is very similar. Great. What's motivating you to get that property sold? If you got a great offer, when would that be? You're qualifying them at the end of the day, but it's a much different call than it's a very, very straightforward call to make. It's a very straightforward call to make as well. It's part of that bullseye kind of prospecting, right? And then probably above that, and there's several categories that go to that bullseye prospecting, but I would put them all in there. They're not expecting your call. There's no recent activity that would indicate that you're going to call them, but there's something about their situation that makes them more likely to convert. Okay? And some of our clients have been killing it with these absentee owners. It's a really, really great list, right? A little bit above that, I would put the old expireds. Old expireds are on that difficulty spectrum. We start with circle prospecting, maybe bullseye prospecting, and then older expired listings, okay? Older expireds. And people know what expireds are. Canceled and expireds, withdrawn. I loop them all into the same kind of category. I would put them all in there. And the difference between these older expireds are that once it's been 1, 2, 3 months since their home expired, the script changes. It's no longer that ultra urgency, high intensity recent expired script. It's more like almost like a circle prospecting script. Hey, you know, I saw your home was in the market a few months ago, hasn't sold. What are your thoughts about that? Would you be interested in selling that home, right? I've got some buyers, I've got this, I've got that. Would love to know if you would still accept an offer on that property. Just curious, okay? It's very straightforward script, and the owner's less combative at that point, right? A little bit different than in the high intensity of those first 24 hours of their home coming off the market, right? I would call those expireds a great opportunity because there's still a lot of them. The majority of these homes, the expired listings withdrawn, canceled, they don't list right away. They don't relist right away, right? It's the reality about that. The majority are going to sell weeks, months later, okay? They're going to come back on the market and they're going to sell. The majority of them. People kind of lose sight of that. Yes, there's a big, huge opportunity for the recent expireds, right? When people don't even know their listing is expired. What do you mean got expired? Oh, no, I want to sell my home. Okay, great. That's an opportunity to sell and get property sold. But most people are not like that, okay? So there's always an opportunity in that longer tail of the older expireds. And then I'm going to move up to the higher end of the difficulty scale, right? And it's going to be expired listings. I would call probably on the higher end. And then probably one of the more challenging ones is for sale by owner listing. I would put that one at the highest difficulty level, but they're both in that same, that same range. They're both in that same range. And the situation there is that, multiple agents are calling. It's a high competition situation. Especially if they just expired that day, multiple agents are calling. If you don't get in touch with these folks by 8 to 8:15 in the morning, you're probably not going to talk to them that day, right? Because they're getting bombarded. And I've seen comments online, owners saying, oh my goodness, I'm getting 30 calls an hour. What's going on? What happened? Was it my birthday? Why is everybody calling me right now, right? What's up? And, they want to get in touch with them. And, it's a tsunami. I think people kind of forget to realize how intense it is for these owners, how intense the tsunami can be of people trying to reach out to them. Because even in this shifting market, Roberto, we're shifting in almost the entire country. In some areas, you've still got lower inventory than before the pandemic, okay? And I want to say that again, in most of the country, we're seeing lower inventory levels than we did 3 years ago, right? We're not back to that more balanced market. Now it seems like a balanced market compared to this. I mean, we're not in a lot of part of them, we're not there yet, right? So there's a lot of people focusing on expired listings right now. There's another thing, it's January. It's like those New Year's resolutions. A lot of agents want to jump into prospecting that first month and then they taper off, right? So right now, the owners are getting slammed for a lot of reasons. So you got to be quick, you got to be intense, and you've got to try and gauge that motivation right away, right? Hey, what do you think that home didn't sell? Hey, I think I can help you out. Are you still thinking of listing? Where do you got to go? Where do you have to be, right? There's a motivation there to still get the property sold and get in front of them and do that presentation, okay? And then the for sale by owner. For sale by owner, I put it as the most challenging category because number one, by definition, they don't want to work with an agent. By definition, there's already kind of like a combative situation from the get-go, from the start. And not every for sale by owner conversation is combative, but the situation puts you at odds as adversaries. And the majority of the calls they get, unfortunately, are from real estate agents. Most for sale by owners, they get that, right? So they're already not happy to get your call from the very beginning. But it can be a great opportunity, but it takes persistence because a for sale by owner, that first weekend is very hopeful. I can get this thing sold. My neighbor sold his within 5 minutes. I can probably get this sold on my own. How hard can it be? Agents don't do anything anyway, right? I'm just going to boom, 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 put a picture on there on Zillow. I'm good to go. It's going to sell on its own. And the following week, you got to check in back in. Hey, how's that going for you? Getting offers this weekend, right? You're going to need buyers through, any tours. Okay, good to know. Well, when you're ready, I'd love to help you out. I'm just checking and see how things are going. Great. The third weekend, then they start to see some kinks in the armor, right? They might go, okay, this might not be that easy. And a bunch of people are coming, wasting my time, coming to go to this property. They're not even qualified to make an offer. Or they're getting offers, but they're like huge lowball offers because they see them as a vulnerable, quote unquote, vulnerable person in the market because they're not well advised, right? So getting these lowball offers, not serious buyers, unqualified buyers. Now they might be willing to entertain this topic of talking to you as an agent, maybe, right? But it takes multiple attempts, persistence, the right script to really talk to them. So that's the spectrum of these outbound cold calling campaigns. And every single one of them I mentioned can be helped with, an ISA can help you with that, okay? That's the key thing. Every single one of those campaigns, an ISA can help you. The model that I prefer, that I've moved towards in our company for Power ISA, for an ISA to do these campaigns, has been a model that I'd like to call shake the tree, okay? The ISA should shake the tree for you, okay? What does that mean? It means that the ISA, when they're doing outbound prospecting, they shouldn't be laser focused on setting a bunch of listing appointments for you. That's usually not successful. And the agents get very frustrated and they're like, hey, they sent me someone, but they don't want to meet with me yet. What's going on, right? And they get frustrated and they're not happy. The highest rate of success that I've seen with ISAs doing outbound prospecting is the ISA qualifying the lead and handing it off to the agent, okay? So it might seem like the same thing. It's not the same thing, okay? It's a very different, there's a key difference. The ISA should be talking to that circle prospecting lead, absentee owner, expired listing for somebody under listing, and just asking them a very simple question, right? Would you like to talk to my agent so you can answer that question, give you more information, or tell you what they can do to get your home sold, right? It's a little bit different depending on the scenario, but that's the question they're asking. And if the person says yes, or they say maybe, or who knows, maybe not, if there's some kind of motivation there, they should hand them off to the real estate agent. And their agent grabs those leads, talks to them, qualifies them, has a conversation, and sets the appointment, if appropriate. It might not be, right? It might be a year out. Great. They go back into the nurture pile. But they should go to the real estate agent to find those opportunities, okay? That has been the highest and best use of an ISA that I've seen. And, in this case, and I knew this was a thing, but the people that really made it crystal clear for me were real estate coaches. Like, for example, John D. Smith, who's been here on Real Closers talking about this and I know, Kent Brown, also a coach here on Real Closers, and helps coach the agents. He has an ISA helping him do that exactly the same thing. He's not relying on his ISA to set appointments and then come list me. He's a very experienced prospector. So he knows what he's doing. He knows that's not going to happen. But the ISA can shake the tree and fill his pipeline with people that are saying yes. Okay, I'll talk to your agent. Yeah, I want some more information. Yeah, I have this question. Yeah, I want to know what they can do for me. Boom, 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 boom. They're just going to call, introduce themselves, and answer that question for you. And the agent should take it to the finish line. And, it's football season. We're talking about this right now. The agent should be an expert in taking that ball from the 30-yard line to the end zone, right? From the 30-yard line to the end zone. If the agent expects the ISA, to be like a Peyton Manning dropping bombs into the end zone from the 50-yard line, probably not going to happen. There's only one Peyton Manning, right? I mean, I'm stretching this a little bit too long, but you cannot expect that ISA to do everything for you and just lay it up for you to stand there and pick up the ball, right? If you become an expert in taking that ball from the 30-yard line to the end zone, you're going to be very successful in an ISA. So ISA can definitely get it to you to that point. You just got to know what to do to get it to the end zone and score and close that transaction. Take that prospect from interested prospect, hand-raising prospect, into closed transaction. That's really the key. And so going full circle on this whole project, the people that are the most successful with an ISA helping them do cold calling, cold prospecting, are already doing it, Roberto, okay? They're already doing the calls. They've closed deals from cold prospects before, right? That is the biggest difference. That's the difference maker. That's the biggest factor you've got. You know what to do with these leads. You know how to make those calls. So adding an ISA is adding leverage, okay? But they're going into a system that already works. That's the biggest thing. So if you want to learn how to do cold prospecting, cold calling for these different categories, pick up and learn it. Use some of the coaching that we have here live on Real Closers and pick up that skill. Because once you figure it out, you can have an ISA scale it up for you enormously. And all these guys, Coach John D. Smith, Kent Brown, another coach we work with, Brandon Mulrennan, all of them they do calls. They love calling, but there's only so many hours in the day. So the ISA adds leverage, okay? So instead of getting 1 or 2 solid prospects every single day, they're getting 3, 4, 5 new prospects every single day. And they're spending the same amount of time. They're not cutting time from their family time or dinner time or sleeping time, right? They're able to leverage and use that ISA to reach more people and get more qualified prospects into the pipeline, okay?
And I think what you just said there is key, right? Having an ISA doesn't mean you're gonna work less. You're probably gonna work
Correct.
the same, right? But you're gonna work smart. You're
Yeah.
gonna concentrate on leads or more of a prospect, right? Someone who's more ready to go. The
Your
ISA is gonna
calling doesn't, yeah, your calling doesn't end. Your calling becomes more valuable. That's what happens, right? If so, there, and that's a great one. I'm gonna give call out two big pitfalls with cold calling with an ISA. Two big pitfalls. Number one, right? You know, the one you just mentioned. People think that with the ISA, they're not going to call anymore. Oh, great! I wanted to be done calling, right? No, right? You should complement what the ISA is doing, and you're going to help the ISA convert those leads. And so your calls are more valuable. What happens, right? Your calls are more valuable, and you'll get more people to call that are higher intent. That's great. The second pitfall is, you know, the one I mentioned before. You've never done cold calling, so you hire the ISA to figure this out for you. And, you know, Roberto, I've done this we've helped over, actually, I thought it was 1,200. I did the math on this. 1,300 clients now, because now we're 2023, right? 1,300 clients we've helped over the last 7 years. And I've never seen that work one time, okay? That I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm hiring the ISA and they're going to figure it out for me, right? We're good. This is the easy button. I'm done. I gave Gus and this company my credit card, and this is going to be done for me. Like, no, folks, this is just not the way it works, right? You got to know what you're doing to begin with, because the ISA is going to help you leverage and scale up a system. What system is it? You got to have it in place.
Exactly. You still got to put in the work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, yeah, you know, it's a great model, very scalable, can blow up your business, but you got to put in that work for sure.
Exactly. There's a reason why they call it scale, right? You first have to have it working.
Yes.
And you can scale it up with an ISA.
100%.
All right, Gustavo, thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm gonna post the video that we did last week on part 1 on how to get to 100,000 GCI with an ISA. And of course, this video is also going to go into our YouTube channel. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. We'll be back with part 3 next week.